Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Trustees of the City University of New York to order. We will have a brief executive session to discuss personnel matters at the conclusion of this meeting, and then we will reconvene in a public session briefly following the executive session. I would like to read the following notice. The meetings of the Board of Trustees of the City University of New York are open to the public, and the Board welcomes the interests of those who attend. The public has ample opportunity to communicate with the Board. Public hearings on the Board's policy calendar are scheduled 1 week prior to the Board's regular meetings, and members of the public who wish to communicate with the Board are invited to express their views at such public hearings. Furthermore, the Board holds additional public hearings each year in all of the 5 boroughs at which members of the public are also welcome to speak. In addition, written communications to the Board are routinely distributed to all trustees. The Board must carry out the functions assigned to it by law and therefore cannot tolerate conduct by members of the public that disrupts its meetings. In the event of disruptions, including noise, which interferes with Board discussion, after appropriate warning, I will ask the security staff to remove persons engaging in disruptive conduct. The university may seek disciplinary and/or criminal sanctions against persons who engage in conduct that violates the university's rules or state laws which prohibit interference with the work of public bodies. May I now request that everyone take a moment to mute your cell phone or BlackBerry. Thank you. As usual, CUNY TV is transmitting the public sessions of this afternoon's meeting of the Board live on cable channel 75. This meeting is also being webcast live and can be accessed by going to www.cuny.edu. The public session of this Board meeting will be available as a podcast within 24 hours and can also be accessed via the CUNY website. We were all delighted when Governor Cuomo nominated CUNY School of Law professor Jenny Rivera in January to serve as an associate judge of the New York State Court of Appeals. But we were again pleased when the New York State Senate voted to approve Professor Rivera's nomination on February 11th. I would like to call on Chancellor Goldstein and Dean Michelle Anderson to say a few words. But first, let me say on behalf of the Board how proud all of us are. We congratulate you, Associate Judge Jenny Rivera. We appreciate it. We appreciate your being with us for this meeting and would invite you to say a few words after we hear from the Chancellor and Dean Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We could not be more pleased, Jenny, with your ascendancy in the upper ranks of the judiciary. You've been a wonderful colleague at the law school, a very, very sought-after professor and a great counsel to students and other faculty. So this latest iteration in your professional life is something that we all celebrate and really are privileged to be associated with you. And know you're just going to do a phenomenal job. So, brava!
Michelle?
Professor Rivera was, unfortunately I have to use the past tense now, she was a highly distinguished member of our faculty at CUNY School of Law since 1997. She primarily taught civil procedure, administrative law, property, wills and trusts, and lawyering. Her students saw her as a very tough but fair faculty member, and she held them to very high standards. Professor Rivera directed and founded the Center on Latino Rights and Equality at CUNY Law, and before becoming a faculty member at CUNY, she clerked for then Federal District Court Judge Sonia Sotomayor. She litigated at the Homeless Family Rights Project and then at the Puerto Rican Legal Defense and Education Fund. She also served as an administrative law judge. She served as a commissioner on the New York City Commission on Human Rights, and in 2007, when she was a faculty member at CUNY Law, she took a leave of absence from her professorship to serve as Special Deputy Attorney General for Civil Rights here in New York. Professor Rivera brings energy, engagement, insight, pragmatism, and organizational sophistication to every task she undertakes. She is a person of great integrity and character and will make an excellent judge on the Court of Appeals. Jenny?
Thank you. Thank you so very much for having me here. Muchísimas gracias. It's really my pleasure. I want to thank, of course, Chair Schmidt, Chancellor Goldstein, my former dean, but good friend and colleague, Michelle Anderson, and of course others who are in the room who I've known for some time, and others who I've come to know more recently who have been of such help to me throughout my career and also have been of great significance during this process. Rita Di Martino, thank you so much. Cal Robles Roman. I'm not going to say how long we've known each other on any of these people, so we won't do that today. Ricardo Fernandez, although Ricardo I've known for quite a long time. If I missed anyone in the room, Dave Fields, of course, and Jay Hershenson, where are you? There you go. All of you, so wonderful and so supportive to me. I'm not going to take up much time because I know you have a very full agenda today, but I'm really pleased to have been invited to come and say my thank you to all of you. I cannot tell you how very proud I am, not only to be the first person to join the Court of Appeals directly from academia, but that the academic institution that I represent is CUNY. CUNY is tremendously well respected. The dean did a phenomenal job during our hearings to talk about the law school, but you should know that the school is very important in Albany, but throughout the state. Everywhere I went throughout this process, there were CUNY alums. If they were not law school alums, they were CUNY alums. And they do an incredible job. Their reputation is stellar. And so I went with quite a blanket of comfort, if I can say, throughout this process, being from CUNY. And I'm happy to wear the banner, and I will continue to do so as long as you let me do so. I have no qualms about saying I'm still a CUNY alum in the truest sense of the word. So I hope that this is not the end of the relationship, but just a new version of my relationship with CUNY. So thank you very much for all I have learned from this great institution and all I hope to bring back to the institution. Muchísimas gracias.
Jenny, law school of my acquaintance in New Haven has a habit of inviting its faculty who join the judiciary to come back and teach at the school, as Guido Calabresi, Ralph Winter, many others have done. So in due course, I hope we'll have the privilege of seeing you again in CUNY classrooms.
It'll be my pleasure, and it won't get any easier for the students, for those who are listening. Only better. Thank you. Thank you again so much. Congratulations.
I'd like to congratulate Trustee Charles Shorter and Vice Chancellor Irish Wineshaw for their article that appears in the current issue of the Association of Governing Boards Trusteeship magazine. This has been circulated to all trustees, Chancellor and President. It's a very informative piece on leveraging the value of CUNY's real estate portfolio to yield new revenues and university facilities. There's a copy of this fine article at everyone's seat at the table. I'd like to thank Vice Chairperson Phil Berry, Trustee Rita Di Martino, Trustee Frida Foster, and Trustee and University Senate Chair Kafui Kuaku for participating in the Black, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, and Asian Legislative Caucus during the weekend of February 15th through 17th. The CUNY luncheon generated a huge turnout of conference participants organized by the Chancellery, featured student awards for volunteer services rendered after Hurricane Sandy, and a recognition ceremony in honor of the 10th anniversary of the CUNY Caucus Legislative Internship Program. I would like to just take a moment to reflect on the life of former New York City Mayor Edward I. Koch, who passed away in early February. Ed Koch led New York City from 1978 through 1989, through some of its most challenging years, with his special brand of energy, spirit, and optimism. An alumnus of City College, he was a strong supporter of quality public higher education and of CUNY in particular. We very much mourn his loss. I'm pleased to report that at the CUNY AC Games held this past weekend, the Lady Panthers of Borough of Manhattan Community College came out on top with a tight 57-53 victory over the Lady Caymans of Hostos Community College at the two-year basketball championships. On the men's side, Bronx Community College won its third straight title with an 83-68 final score. At the four-year basketball championships, the Baruch College Bearcats came out on top against the Brooklyn College Bulldogs, 73-62, and the College of Staten Island won against underdog John Jay College, 83-68. With three total records broken, both City College Beavers track programs won with a total of 160 points at the U.S. Army Indoor Track Championships. I'd like now to call on Trustee Valerie Beal to announce college and faculty honors.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. City College of New York Assistant Professor of Mathematics, Arthur Zelam, was named a 2013 Sloan Research Fellow. Director Jean Krasno of City College's International Relations Program recently published the collective papers of Secretary General Kofi Annan, a 5-volume set, and Distinguished Professor of Architecture Lance Brown was elected Vice President, President-elect of the New York chapter of the American Institute of Architects. Congratulations. Hunter College has been named a Fulbright top producer for both the U.S. student and scholar programs by the Institute of International Education on behalf of the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. Hunter Distinguished Lecturer Pamela Falk was recently presented the 2012 Elizabeth Neufer Memorial Prize by UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, and an international team led by Chair of Hunter's Department of Chemistry, Hiroshi Matsu, created a new chemical motor mimicking a living organism and requiring no energy input to swim across a liquid surface. Congratulations. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Very much. I'd like to call now on Trustee Kathleen Pasili to announce student and alumni honors.
A team of students from Baruch College's Master's in Financial Engineering program won second place, competing with 29 other teams in the International Association of Financial Engineers academic case competition. Baruch's women's swim team won their fourth straight CUNYAC championship, and I wish them congratulations. City College student Ivan Santiago, graduating in June with a BS and an MS in biology, has been accepted and given a fellowship to Harvard University's doctoral program in neuroscience. City College Sophie Davis School of Biomedical Education students Charisse Street and Deandra Nesbitt have received American Association for Cancer Research Minority Scholar in Cancer Research Awards. Congratulations. A team of students from LaGuardia Community College who produced a video entitled Repair Your Credit, Repair Your Life won first place in the Federal Reserve Bank of New York's 4th Annual Financial Awareness Video Festival. More than 40 videos were submitted to the competition, which challenged local students to create a 30-second video aimed at young adults about how to build their credit. Hunter College's Model UN team won a record number of awards at the 2012 competition of the National Model United Nations Conference. 24 Hunter students attended the conference, representing Afghanistan, Cote d'Ivoire, Kuwait, and Kyrgyzstan. Congratulations. And Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. You have a list of grants and gifts received by the university since our January 28th, 2013 meeting at the table. I note that grants and gifts are substantially up, and I think that's particularly a sign of the productivity of the CUNY faculty, which is bringing in grants and gifts to the university in support of their research in record amounts, and very impressive. I'd like now to call on Chancellor Goldstein to present his report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm sure, like me, all of you heard President Obama do a shout-out at his State of the Union, where I think of the first time in the history of a State of the Union addresses, the City University of New York was singled out as an innovator in its work with one of our campuses, New York City College of Technology, IBM, and the Department of Education. So this has been a project that we've worked on for a long time, and I wanted to, in particular, thank President Hotzler for his focus on guiding that important school through the distinction that he has shown today. I've had an opportunity to speak with Arne Duncan, Secretary Arne Duncan, who lauded the school to me recently, and we're just very proud to get national attention. Our community colleges, the work that we're doing with ASAP, the new community college, the focus on an asset class in higher education that has been too long neglected is really now at the forefront of discussion at the highest levels of the federal bureaucracy in education, and I think all of us should be very, very proud of that. Governor Cuomo visited 4 CUNY campuses in the last 2 weeks alone: City College, LaGuardia Community College, Lehman College, and today he was on Staten Island at CSI. In each of these, he is using these opportunities to reinforce the priorities listed in his budget that has now been remanded for discussion in the state legislature. At all of the meetings that he's had, he's really pointed to the enormous successes that CUNY has had in its recent history and sees it as a very important player in higher education and working with government and business in particular on issues of economic development. On February 11th, I was in Albany testifying in front of the New York State Assembly Ways and Means Committee and the Senate Finance Committees. Copies of my testimony are online, but I believe they're in front of you as well. The deadline for the 30-day amendments to the governor's proposed budget was last Friday. We are continuing to work with the governor and legislative leaders as we move through the budgetary approval process. We, as usual, are doing a lot at home, and I want to thank Bill Fritz, Ricardo Fernandez, Jeremy Travis, Russell Hotzler, James Meiskin, whose efforts in coordinating work in each of the boroughs is deeply appreciated. Faculty and staff, members of the Chancellery are certainly very much involved. The university's email campaign has generated over 100,000 emails to legislators to date. Our CUNY Legislative Action Council committee continues to work well under the direction of Jay Hershenson and Eileen Goldman. We seem to be on target for an online budget. Again, we'll see, but so far the signals seem to be blinking green, so that's a good thing. We hope to make progress on additional base aid for the community colleges. We're down since 2009 by a fair amount of money, and we're looking for funding for increases in student services and approval and implementation of the new CUNY 2020 capital program. Iris Weinschol is working with the governor's office in putting together the necessary parameters to roll out that important effort. And if it works as we hope it will work, this should be iterated over the next 3 years with an additional $55 million each of those years. As you know, I chair the New York City Regional Economic Development Council. We met this morning with a fairly big attendance. Our next meeting will be sometime in May, where we will start the process of putting together priorities for the next round of monies that will be provided by the governor for this important effort. Tomorrow I'll be in Albany addressing the Commission on Independent Colleges and Universities. I will be talking about what I see are some of the major challenges and opportunities in higher education. I'll use that opportunity also to meet with the budget director and other members of the executive branch to talk about some issues of concern that I have with our colleagues up there. Mayor Bloomberg delivered his final State of the City address at the Barclays Center on February 14th. He cited CUNY 3 times in his speech, including mention of our capital expansion effort. The city's preliminary financial plan essentially leaves the community college budget intact for the coming year. The mayor will issue his executive budget this spring, as usual, shortly after the state enacts their budget. A joint hearing of the New York City Council Higher Education, Women's Issues, and Technology Committees took place earlier today on the subject of recruiting and retaining women in the STEM fields. And I'd like to thank Vice Chancellor Jillian Small for leading a panel of prominent CUNY science faculty and student representatives. I signed a letter along with Laura England and Nancy Zimfer to Congress opposing the sequestration of the federal budget. My concern, in some sense, I think this is a bit overblown, but my concern specifically is about the impending cuts that sequestration may result in some monies provided for mission agencies. As the chairman said, we're making extraordinary progress in our success with faculty garnering really impressive moves in the National Science Foundation, the National Institutes of Health, the Department of Defense, a number of agencies where we've been really doing well. And if there are some deep cuts which are being bantered about now, I think this might compromise the movements in a positive direction that we have made over these few years. Last week, I participated in the Business Higher Education Forum winter meeting. We have a leadership role on that very important business higher education group. These are some of the most prominent higher education leaders meeting on a regular basis with some of the very great corporations in the United States. Boeing was represented by its CEO, Raytheon was represented by its CEO, Google, IBM. I mean, we have an impressive group of people. I chaired a panel dealing on energy and the challenges we have working with academic work and with companies. I also led a paper on showing that the Genome Project, the new project that the President had just announced about mapping the human brain, which will be a huge new effort. We talked greatly about cybersecurity, and I think I convinced enough people there that the commonality that has driven all of these efforts was math, 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 and that data analytics and large-scale data analysis is now a field that is blossoming and will require more trained people, more at the baccalaureate, I would say, and the master's level for, I think, a very big increase in interesting and well-paying positions. So we're looking forward to really being an advocate in that direction with the Business Higher Education Forum. I've accepted an invitation by the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. Our chair and I are both members of that organization. I've accepted an opportunity to serve as a senior advisor on the Lincoln Project, which is a project being led by the former University of California at Berkeley's Chancellor Robert Birgeneau. And we are being assembled soon to work on that important project with higher education leaders and federal policy makers, elected officials, and business leaders to outline how public higher education can, in some sense, regain its mojo after so many years of unrelenting cuts that all of us have seen throughout the United States. So more on that as this important effort takes shape. There will be an all-day meeting of the Chancellery and the college presidents and deans on March 15, focusing on follow-up to the university's 2012 through 2016 master plan and strategic planning of what universities should be doing to deliver programs and services in the future. Dr. Jonathan Cole, the former provost at Columbia, has accepted my invitation to be the morning speaker. Jonathan is coming out with his latest book on what universities should look like in the years ahead. And interestingly, that's some of the major themes that the presidents and the rest of us will be discussing very, very seriously. I'd like to congratulate Ricardo Fernandez on his appointment to the Board of Directors of the American Association of Colleges and Universities. And yes, CUNY TV has been nominated for 8 new regional Emmy Awards. I don't know what Jay Hershenson and Bob Isaacson do with all these awards, but they are, we may need some more space at the graduate school, Bill. I'm sure you don't want to hear me say that. But they're being nominated for their shows Nueva York, Canapé, Science and You, and Study with the Best. And Tyrick Washington is nominated for music composition. So CUNY TV continues to be a vital and important entity here at the university. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Very much. Are there questions or comments for the Chancellor's report? All right. Thank you very much. We'll now turn to policy items requiring a vote. I will move the adoption of the Chancellor's University Report for February 25th, 2013. You'll find a copy of the report at the table. May I have a second?
Second.
Are there comments or questions? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? That carries. I'll also move the approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting and the executive session of January 28th, 2013. You have a copy of the draft minutes at Section 2 of your meeting book. May I have a second?
Second.
Are there any revisions or suggested changes? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? The minutes are adopted. We'll turn now to our committee reports. We'll hear first from the Committee on Fiscal Affairs, Chair Joe Lota.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Committee on Fiscal Affairs met on February 4th, 2013. After approval of the minutes of the Fiscal Affairs Committee meeting of January 7th, the committee proceeded to approve the following resolutions. Calendar item 3A is a resolution requesting that the Board of Trustees of the University authorize the General Counsel to execute a university-wide contract to purchase electronic access to academic journals on behalf of participating colleges from Springer Science and Business Media, LLC, by negotiated sale pursuant to law and university regulations. Such purchase shall not exceed $3 million. The university will use this contract with Springer, a premier publisher in the scientific and technical field, to make available and extend existing university-wide online access to electronic academic journals. Savings will be achieved by entering into this university-wide agreement. Mr. Chairman, I move the approval and adoption of calendar item 3A.
Thank you. May I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there questions on 3A? Not all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? 3A carries.
Thank you. Calendar item 3B is a resolution requesting that the Board of Trustees of the university authorize the General Counsel execute a contract on behalf of the Baruch College with Adventist School of Management by negotiated sale pursuant to law and university regulations to continue operating the college's executive masters in programs in finance, marketing, and organizational psychology and management of human resources in the country of Singapore for 2 academic years through June 2015. The continuation of these programs is necessary to avoid interruption of the current student's course of study. The contract has been estimated value between $500,000 and $650,000. This resolution also requests that the Board of Trustees of the university authorize the General Counsel to execute a contract on behalf of Baruch College with Lead Chief Academy Education Group without competitive bidding and pursuant to law and university regulations to continue operating the college's Executive Master's Program in Finance, Marketing, and Human Resources and Global Leadership in Taiwan for 2 academic years through June 2015. The continuation of these programs is necessary to avoid interruption of the current student's course of study. The contract has an estimated value between $500 and $650 million. Mr. Chairman, I move the approval and adoption of calendar item 3B.
Million or hundreds of thousands?
What did I say? I'm sorry, $500,000 and $650,000.
That's a relief for Baruch.
I was in Taiwanese.
I'll second the motion. Are there questions on the Baruch program? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? That carries.
I've been dealing with billions lately. Following the approval of these 2 items by the committee, Associate Vice Chancellor Matthew Sapienza gave a report on the State of New York's 2013-2014 executive budget. After that report, the Subcommittee on Investments was convened. After approval of the minutes of the November 5th meeting and a performance update for the calendar year ended December 31st, 2012, by Chief Investment Officer Janet Crone, the meeting was adjourned to go into executive session for review and recommendation regarding private real assets. After resuming the public meeting, the subcommittee approved the recommendations on private real assets that was discussed in executive session. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my report.
Thank you very much. We'll hear next from the Committee on Academic Policy, Programs, and Research. I'd like to call on Trustee Wellington Chen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At its February 4th, 2013 meeting, the committee approved the following policy matters. Calendar number 4A, School of Professional Studies at the Graduate School and University Center, BA in Urban and Community Studies. This program is designed for adult degree completers. The program will use existing partnerships between the School of Professional Studies and the public sector unions in the city to recruit students already employed in the public service administration. Students can choose a sequence of courses related to specific sector of urban and community studies, such as healthcare or the environment. Calendar number 4B, Hunter College, creation of the Department of Medical Laboratory Sciences. This action is part of a restructuring plan prompted by the creation of CUNY School of Public Health, which has Hunter College as its lead institution. In the past, Hunter College's Medical Laboratory Sciences program was housed in Hunter's School of Health Sciences. Following the recent accreditation of the CUNY School of Public Health, Hunter's public health programs are now housed separately. At the same time, the Medical Laboratory Sciences program has been growing. The new Department of Medical Laboratory Sciences will be housed in the School of Arts and Sciences because its offerings are rooted in the academic disciplines of biology and chemistry. Calendar number 4C, Bronx Community College, City College, dual joint ASBS in biotechnology. This proposed dual joint degree program targets underrepresented student populations who make up the majority of students at Bronx Community College, offering access to a profession with high growth employment opportunities. After finishing their foundation science courses and the general education requirements, Bronx Community College students will transfer seamlessly to City College in order to complete more advanced courses that are currently offered as part of City College's new BS in biotechnology. Bronx Community College and the City College of New York have used part of a collaborative U.S. Department of Education grant to equip and update their laboratory facilities for this program. Graduates will be prepared for entry-level employment in the food and drug industry and for biomedical research. Calendar number 4D, City University of New York, course credit based on scores on advancement placement tests. It has been generally the practice at CUNY's undergraduate colleges to grant course credits for advanced placement courses only to students who have scores of 4 or 5 on the advanced placement tests. However, there have been some exceptions. The present policy, which states that course credit will be given only for score of 4 or 5, will ensure similar high standards across the university, with course credit being granted only when the student has demonstrated mastery of the subject. Calendar number 4E, resolution to confer honorary degrees at the CUNY School of Law and the Graduate School and University Center. The CUNY School of Law wishes to confer the honorary Doctor of Laws degree upon Lucas Guttenter, a scholar and ACLU Council on Immigration Rights, and on Beth Ricci, CUNY Graduate Center 1992 alumnus and scholar and activist concerning issues related to domestic violence and prison systems. The Graduate School and University Center wishes to confer the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters upon Lawrence Weiner, a founding figure in conceptual art. Item number 4A through 4E were approved by the committee and recommend their approval by the board, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. May I have a second? Second. Are there questions for the committee on any of these items? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Abstentions? Those items carry.
Informational items. Dr. Lowe spoke about CUNY's spring 2015 enrollment figures. Total enrollment is approximately the same as it was last spring. Master's level enrollment is down a few percentage points from last spring, largely due to a decline in enrollment in teacher education programs. This decline in teacher education enrollment is not unique to CUNY and is due largely to the lack of teaching positions. The campuses and the central administration are working to broaden CUNY's portfolio of graduate degrees beyond teacher education to create a more balanced mix of offerings. Dr. Lowe also gave the committee an update on the progress being made with the Pathway Initiative, and I would like to ask her to give you a further update now.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Chen. It's a great pleasure to give this update on the Pathways Initiative. The campuses have now submitted approximately 2,000 courses for the Common Core of the Pathways General Education Framework. Further, every single campus has submitted the courses that it needs for every single category of the Common Core when it is offered this fall. And let me repeat that. Every single campus, every one, has submitted the courses that it needs for every single category of the Common Core when it's offered this fall. Further, every campus with bachelor's programs has submitted its structure for the college option portion of its general education requirements. Further, faculty committees have now identified the first 3 to 6 courses and their learning outcomes, leading into 10 of the largest transfer majors, so that CUNY-wide students will be able to start these majors at any campus that has them and transfer to any other campus that has them without losing major credit. Together, these 10 majors cover approximately 2/3 of the students who have transferred to senior colleges and declared their majors. With the approval of this board meeting's Chancellor's University report, all academic approvals are in place that are needed to allow students to start registering under Pathways for the fall, which will happen beginning in just a few weeks. Thanks to a great deal of hard work, especially by the many hundreds of faculty who contributed, we are in compliance with the board's June 2011 resolution that stated that Pathways should be in effect for students by September 2013. A greatly improved transfer system, Pathways, is now in place for our students.
Bravo. Bravo. That represents a monumental amount of work by the central administration and by the faculty on all the campuses. To complete that 6 months ahead of the deadline is a tremendous accomplishment. And we all ought to be very grateful to you, Lexa, for taking the lead on this, but all the faculty who participated and did so much work deserve a great deal of credit as well. Anything else, Drew?
No, that concludes my
Thank you.
report, Mr. Chairman.
We'll turn next to the Committee on Facilities Planning and Management. I'd like to call on Trustee Jeffrey Weisenfeld.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Board of Trustees Committee on Facilities Planning and Management considered items at its meeting of January 7th, 2013. These action items are listed in the board meeting as calendar items 5A through 5D. The first item, City University of New York Master Planning and Related Services Contracts, to authorize the City University Construction Fund to execute up to 6 master planning and related services requirements contracts to be used on an as-needed basis for master planning services, space needs analysis services, condition assessment of existing building system services, building programming services, massing studying services, and feasibility study services. The contracts will be awarded to the following firms: Abcom, Beyer, Blinder, Bell, Cannon Design, Cooper Robertson, Climate Halsband, and Mitchell Girogola. Historically, the Office of Facilities Planning, Construction, and Management issued RFPs, requests for proposals to solicit master planning services on an individual project basis, a very costly, time-consuming process which does not meet the needs of the university. This resolution will allow CUNY to request the CUNY Construction Fund to award up to 6 separate requirements contracts to provide master planning and related services on an expedited, as-needed term basis for small, medium, and larger projects. Each contract will have a not-to-exceed amount of $4.75 million. As a need arises, the eligible firms above will compete for project-specific task order assignments. The projects under these contracts will be managed by CUNY, and the contracts will be held by the CUNY Construction Fund. The second item is at Hunter College, regarding the Broadcast Media Center in the North Building, to authorize the City University Construction Fund to execute 2 contracts on behalf of Hunter College for the Broadcast Media Center located in the North Building. The first contract is to upgrade the existing TV studio lighting and HVAC system, and the second contract is for teleproduction fit-out from an analog production facility to a high-definition production and teaching space. Contract costs shall be chargeable to the city capital budget. Project HU 021-008 for an amount not to exceed $437,000 for the renovation and $692,000 for studio equipment for a total of $1,129,000. The Hunter College Broadcast Media Center is in need of renovation due to its lack of modern equipment. In order to improve the sound and image quality, the Media Center will upgrade to HD equipment and upgrade its HVAC system to reduce excess airflow and noise levels, which interfere with the sensitivity of the new equipment and studio operations. The television studio is located in the north building of Hunter College. The third item is at Lehman College, a campus-wide security system software upgrade and mass notification system, to authorize the City University Construction Fund to execute a purchase order for equipment and services to upgrade the Lehman College campus-wide security system software and install a mass notification system under an existing New York State Office of General Services contract number PT 63200. The total cost of all such purchases shall be funded under DASNY project long number for an amount not to exceed $2,500,000. Lehman College's existing security system is at end of life and is no longer supported by the manufacturer. This resolution will authorize the City University Construction Fund to enter into a purchase order with a selected bidder for the equipment and services to upgrade the campus-wide security system. In addition, the following resolution came in late for prior review at the Board of Trustees Committee on Facilities, Planning and Management meeting scheduled for February 4th. Therefore, it is being brought to the Board of Trustees for consideration. City University College Laboratory Facilities Construction Management Design, Build and Services Requirement Contract Amendment, which would authorize the City University Construction Fund to amend the requirements contract between Epic Management and CUNY Construction Fund by increasing the total not to exceed amount of the contract from $30 million to $36.3 million. On January 25th, the board requested CUNY Construction Fund execute 4 requirements contracts to be used on an as-needed basis, including an award to Epic Management, with each of the 4 contracts having a not to exceed amount of $30 million. Epic has recently selected for the design, build-out, and migration of the CUNY data center operated by CUNY's Computing and Information Services. Currently, the data center is located 555 West 57th Street, which was built in the 1970s. The new data center will be located on the 5th floor of CUNY's offices at 395 Hudson Street. In space that was leased for this purpose, the project provides for the design build-out of the new data center. To date, Epic has performed well on other assigned projects under this contract. As a result of the award of these previous task orders to Epic, the estimated cost of the project would cause Epic to exceed the cumulative total not to exceed amount of its contract. Thus, an increase is required to ensure sufficient funding for the completion of this vital project. I hereby request the board's approval of these calendar items.
You've heard the motion on the 4 items from the committee. May I have a second? Second. Are there any questions on any of the items for the committee? Not all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Those items carry.
That concludes the report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Before we adjourn for the executive session, the Chancellor would like to offer a brief comment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. 2 things. I'd like to single out 2 individuals that are seated around this square table. First is President Jennifer Raub. I want to reacquaint you with the work that we have been doing to identify the permanent dean of the School of Public Health. When this idea was conceived, I contacted Jennifer because I had such confidence in her abilities, her enthusiasm for a school of public health, and her doggedness in getting things done notwithstanding also the fact that she has a very distinguished group of faculty at Hunter who have worked so tirelessly to bring this important effort to fruition. Jennifer continues to work with me, but in particular Lexa Logue. I'm convinced that as we go forward with Hunter as the lead institution in this School of Public Health, that we will bring a recommendation to the board in June and finally take this idea and build it into an edifice that all of us will be very, very proud of. It's a tough position to fill because the people who are really first rate are in such demand and compensation and all sorts of other considerations. But I wanted publicly in front of the board and the presidents and the chancellery to really thank Jennifer for her very hard work, and I know that we will continue to work together to bring this important institution into great prominence in the community of schools of public health around the United States. The second person that I want to mention, and some of you probably have just gotten an email about this in the last 5 or 10 minutes, but our good friend Steve Shepard has indicated that after 9 years, he intends to step down at the end of the calendar year as Dean of the Graduate School of Journalism. Let me just bring you back in time to 10 years ago when the idea was conceived, and immediately I went and found Steve to talk with him about the idea of creating a public graduate school of journalism in New York, the media capital of the world. Steve, as all of you know, has had a very distinguished career in journalism. His work before he came to CUNY was editor-in-chief of Business Week. That's where I knew Steve originally because we worked together at his request on an area that he thought I might be able to be helpful with. We also were students together at City College, but we really didn't know each other. We probably ran into each other on campus, but we both had hair then, so maybe we didn't recognize ourselves. But Steve, I want you to know that when we talked about the School of Journalism, I said to you, if we could do it right, let's do it. But if you don't think we could do it really right, I don't want to do this at all. And you really did it right. I mean, you brought not only your intelligence, your enthusiasm, your acumen, the contacts you have in the world of journalism. You recruited a great faculty. You pushed us to spend more money than I had anticipated spending in outfitting the space, but I want all of you to know that the CUNY Graduate School of Journalism today, which is a very young institution, is one of the leading schools of journalism in the United States. Don't just take my word for it. Ask anybody who really knows about this world, and they will say it to you. This could not have happened without Steve Shepard's shepherding this young institution to the prominence that it has today. Steve, all of us are going to miss you as dean. Of course, you're going to stay on and be a professor and continue your good work. But I wanted everybody to hear how much affection and devotion and respect we have for you, for what you created, and the lives that you have changed and will change as a result of the efforts that you have done in putting this great school together. So thank you so much.
I believe Trustee Shorter had a comment he wanted to make, or a question?
Yes, just a brief comment, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much for recognizing the article that was written for the Association of Governing Boards and their trustee magazine on behalf of CUNY and as nationwide distribution. But 2 points. One, the article was co-written with Vice Chancellor Iris Weinshaw, number one, and number two, it could not have been written without her input and solid support for the article. So I just wanted that recognized as well.
Thank you very much. We'll adjourn this segment of the public meeting for our executive session, and then we will return for a brief public meeting following the executive session. We'll reconvene in our public session. We have 2 resolutions to consider. We'll take them up one at a time, and I'll move each one. Oh, before we do, Kafui had a comment he wanted to make about pathways.
Oh yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to give a big thank you to Executive Vice Chancellor Logue in regard to all the work that has been done in regard to pathways and for meeting with the student leadership and answering those questions. And one of the concerns, as you remember, that arose from that meeting is the fact that students feel like in order for pathway to succeed, it's going to depend a lot on the piece of advisement. So I just want to reiterate that piece, saying that the Chancellor needs to really follow the advisement piece, because that can make pathway being very successful or destroy it completely if it doesn't go right. So I just want to make sure that you keep a close eye on that piece.
Yes, we will. There are a lot of people working very hard on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll move the first resolution. Resolved that the Board of Trustees amends the procedures for presidential searches by adding the following provisions to Policy 2.12, Section 1.1 of the Manual of General Policy, superseding the last paragraph of said Section 1.1. Quote, notwithstanding any contrary provisions of this section or of any governance plan, the search committee for the Dean of the Law School and the Graduate School of Journalism shall consist of 3 or more members of the Board of Trustees, 3 faculty members, 1 student, 1 alumnus, alumna, 1 president of another college, selected as set forth in this section. In addition, the chairperson shall appoint a member of the school's Board of Visitors or Advisory Council and up to 2 members from among other outstanding figures in the relevant professional community in New York City. Notwithstanding any contrary provision of this section, the Dean of the CUNY School of Public Health shall be selected in accordance with the procedures set forth in the governance plan for that school. I'd like to move that. May I have a second?
Second.
Are there any comments or questions? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? That carries. The second resolution is as follows. Resolved that the Board of Trustees authorizes the Chancellor to appoint the 2 remaining faculty members of the Presidential Search Committee for Medgar Evers College in the event the faculty members of the College Council fail to elect those 2 members by close of business on February 27th, 2013, and be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees directs that the 3 faculty members of the Presidential Search Committee for Medgar Evers College shall be from each of the 3 schools of the college. There you have the motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Are there any comments or questions on this resolution?
Just a quick question.
Yes.
I assume on the 27th, they will receive actual notice of it and have a shot at at getting this done.
Yes,
absolutely.
I've spoken to the president, and he assures me that notice will be given tomorrow, and the faculty have actually already called for a meeting on Wednesday.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? That resolution carries. That concludes our public business for this meeting, and I declare the meeting adjourned.